What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Ben Hartsock here on OTB, host of Off Campus Sirius XM 84. Ben, what's up, man? How's it going today?
Feels good. Feels like an appropriate intro.
Yep.
Like being home with you boys. Got good energy. It's beautiful out. Things are going well.
Well, your voice, Ben Hartsock, sounds like the lacrosse game against Sprayberry went well. I mean, am I reading the voice right?
No.
Oh,
The girls
no.
fell. The girls lacrosse team, the mighty Tequila Falcons, landed with a thud. Finished the season 5 straight losses.
Ooh.
There's rumblings. There's rumblings that coach isn't up to the task. They're starting to look around a little bit. It's bad things are happening, but in the Hartsock house, we're finding the positives, okay? We're focusing on a season of growth. Mm-hmm. We're focusing on the positives, and we're going to control the controllable.
I had no idea we were talking about Tequila, Jake. Yeah. Screw Tequila.
Oh, I
Tequila
forgot you're
can
from
rot
the
in
area.
hell for all I care. Who did I lose my 9-year-old first year of tackle football county championship to? Tequila. Who beat me the next 2 years, my Duluth Wildcats, in the semifinals each year? Tequila. Okay, I got nothing but hate in my heart for Tequila. I'm very happy to hear that they fell flat on their face, Ben.
Wow.
Yeah.
All I know is dynasties come and dynasties go. That's the story in here is that it's hard to maintain. I heard a coach say to get to the top of the mountain is passion. To stay at the top of the mountain is fatigue. And right now, the crew is struggling.
Oh, that's actually a very
write
good
that down.
I'm going to steal that for sure.
Yeah.
So I always love when Ben and Jake get together because, as we said last segment, it's a bit like a couple of dinosaurs chopping it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a couple of guys whose positions are now extinct in the NFL, the Yackle fullback of yore, no more to be had, even though our guy, Matt Rule, is trying to bring it back to Nebraska.
Yep.
Ben, but look, when you talk about tight end, the Saints are in the market, okay? They want one. They got Juwan Johnson, but they are in the market for another one. Who are your top tight end prospects in the draft? Maybe that could, like, realistically be available for the Saints at 29 or 40.
Well, I mean, anywhere through there, that late first to third round, that's the value play. If you look at the 2 best tight ends in the game right now, George Kittle and Travis Kelce, both those guys were mid-round draft picks. Kelce in the second, and Kittle all the way back in the fourth. And so the reality is and even if you look across, like, historically, Gronk was a second rounder. Like, you don't have to be a top 10 pick to be a great tight end. And so this year's class, to me, there aren't any. The only unicorn is this guy Darnell Washington from Georgia, but he's a unicorn in the way that's not valued in the NFL. Darnell Washington, 6'7", 270, with like 3% body fat. It's an incredible, like, human creation. God, like, was showing off with that. But because he's more of a attached to the line of scrimmage, kind of that traditional Y position, that's not a first-round draft pick. You don't spend first-round draft picks on that. You do that with guys like Kyle Pitts that run a 4.3, 4.4 40, being about that size. So Washington is a unicorn, but it's a down market for those types of skills. So I have a very tight pattern of guys that are, you could. It's a floor versus ceiling kind of play with Dalton Kincaid from Utah, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, and Sam Laporta from Iowa. Those guys, I think their floor is they could be a Pat Freiermuth, a Mike Gesicki, a Cole Kmet, like established, reliable, quality starters in the NFL. That's kind of worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you get a guy that turns into George Kittle, and you got one of the best. It's hard to speculate, and so much of what is going to determine whether they just become a dude or they become the dude is the franchise they're taken to, the quarterback relationship. Like, quarterback tight end relationship is magic. If you look at kind of over the recent history in the NFL, you look at that relationship between Tony Romo and Jason Witten, Matt Ryan and Tony Gonzalez, Cam Newton and Greg Olsen. Like, there is some magic to a tight end and quarterback relationship. Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes, obviously, right now is being played out in real time. That these tight ends, Mayer, Kincaid, and Laporta, they're all within a tenth of each other at their 40. They all had similar arm length and vertical jumps. And so it's kind of like, pick your superlative. What do you want? Dalton Kincaid, like me and Jacob yesterday on the show, we're talking about, Kincaid has the most natural pluck. He can run that seam, has loose enough shoulder and torso action to be able to be running full speed one direction, but turn his shoulders and waist and effortlessly pluck that ball out of the sky. Michael Mayer's a little bit more polished, that Notre Dame brand. When you think about Kyle Rudolph and Cole Kmet coming out of Notre Dame is a brand of tight end. Sam Laporta, another guy with Iowa, has a spectacular pedigree at the tight end position, and Laporta fits that bill. He's the nastiest of the three. The only guy that was ever asked to be placed on the line of scrimmage, double team block, or even one-on-one block and cave down the right side of a defensive line when you run single back power. Most of these other guys in the blocking game, they're kind of say, hey, we just want you to backside cut off. We want you to free release up to the safety, which is the easiest thing that you can ask a tight end to do in those circumstances. Laporta was asked to actually get down there and do some of that dirty work. So I really like all three of these guys. I think they've got really bright futures. But the fork in the road of where their top-end output versus an average output, a lot of ways are outside of their control, but based on the franchise they go to and the relationship that they may or may not form with the quarterback.
Well, Ben, if we're looking at this from the Saints' point of view, I mean, everything that you just said, like Juwan Johnson, he's an F. He's not a Y. Taysom Hill is certainly an F. He's not a Y. But they look like they want to take a tight end. Now, I don't know that they want to take a true Y. Maybe they take an F that can be a Y in certain situations. And so, to me, like Sam Laporta, what you're talking about, like that would fit the narrative. A guy certainly that can line up as an F in the slot, run the route on the route tree and do it at a high level. But also, if you put him in line at a Y position, he's not going to be out of place like Dalton Kincaid or some of these others would be.
Yeah, Kincaid is the one that I've seen the least amount of him put his hand in the dirt and say, okay, we need you to hold up here. And so he was 55% of his snaps were from the slot. So with Mike Mayer and Sam Laporta, you're going to have more evaluation tape to say, okay, what's this guy look like in those circumstances? But so much of being that attached traditional Y tight end today, it's about want to. Like Jimmy Graham, when he was with the Saints, the guy's built like a power forward. He had all of the traits to be an attached, get the job done, blocking tight end. He just didn't want it. Yeah. But the flip side of that was Greg Olsen, a teammate of mine with the Carolina Panthers. He was leaner, narrower, not as stout at that point of attack, but he would at least stick his face mask in there and try to battle the good fight. That's all they're asking for, especially in today's NFL that is so spread out and 11 personnel. So I would say Mayer and Laporta and maybe even Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave's another guy that I've kind of thrown in there from Oregon State. He's a little lighter, a little leaner, better athlete, kind of looks like Greg Olsen in his build. But being at Oregon State, they're another team that played some smash mouth football. I saw him do some double teams up to the linebackers. So there's some, but he's got the least amount of production. The other thing from these top three guys, I have tremendous amount of production. 180 catches for Kincaid, 175 for Mike Mayer, 150 for Sam Laporta. And that's Sam Laporta catching 150 passes from Iowa. That's like a moonshot.
You heard, Ben's been talking a lot about the draft because you heard him hit a little Kuiper cadence there. Little thinner, little slider, better athlete.
Yeah. Ben, I made Ben talk a lot of draft yesterday.
Hey, Ben, real quick on the way out here, Ohio State opening as #1 in the ESPN FPI, giving the best chances to win a national championship. Why in the hell should we trust the Buckeyes when the Wolverines are just out here beating y'all's ass every year?
Wow.
Yeah, the FPI is like artificial intelligence. Nobody quite understands what it is. Like when you talk to I've heard Reese Davis, who works for ESPN. He has stood on in national television and said, "I don't really know. It's like we built this algorithm and we really don't really know exactly what it means, but we trust it." I also hear a lot of these like tech people say the same thing about artificial intelligence.
Yep.
There's an element of it we don't quite wrap our head around. So I'm with you. Like I'm asking Buckeye reporters, I'm asking Wolverine reporters, hey, this is the first year where without question it is Michigan's conference in the Big Ten. Michigan is the big dog. They are at the top of the mountain. That's the 2 years ago, everybody got shocked. Okay, Michigan took care of business. Last year, it became a pattern. They did it twice in a row. So now this is the first off season and going into a regular season where we're going to unquestionably say this is Michigan's conference to lose right now. So that doesn't jive with the FPI for me. I don't know what to make of that because it is Michigan's era.
Ben, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, filling us in on some draft prospects, allowing me to be so disrespectful with that last question. I apologize. Look, I know how it goes, right? I watched Alabama beat our ass like 8 years in a row. You have a great day, Ben, and everybody loves catching you and Jake on Sirius XM 84.
Always appreciate it, fellas. Have a good day.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.